When fans talk about why Mandy is missing from The Big Bang Theory, the conversation usually turns into speculation. Did Georgie and Mandy split? Did something tragic happen? Did the writers just forget about her? But what if the answer isn't dramatic at all? What if the real reason Mandy isn't present in The Big Bang Theory has less to do with heartbreak and more to do with growth? Let's unpack this. By the time we see Georgie in The Big Bang Theory, he's a successful businessman. He owns tire stores. He's confident, established, and clearly has built something substantial for himself. But what's interesting is how little we hear about Mandy. For someone who played such a defining role in Georgie's early adulthood, her absence stands out. Now, think about Mandy as a character. From the beginning, she was ambitious. She had career goals. She wasn't someone drifting through life, waiting for things to happen. Even when her unexpected pregnancy changed everything, that ambition didn't disappear. It just got redirected. She adapted to motherhood and marriage, but that doesn't mean she stopped wanting independence or professional fulfillment. So, here's the theory. What if Mandy's long-term path naturally took her somewhere else? Not because of failure. Not because of divorce. But because of opportunity. It's entirely possible that Mandy pursued a career that required relocation. Maybe media. Maybe marketing. Maybe something entrepreneurial. She always had a sharp personality and confidence that could translate into leadership. If she rebuilt her career in a different city, that could explain why she isn't around during Sheldon's adult years in Pasadena. And here's where it gets interesting. Georgie and Mandy's marriage began under pressure. It was rushed. It was reactive. But that doesn't mean it couldn't evolve into something mature. Sometimes, couples who start in chaos learn how to redefine their relationship as they grow. It's possible they remained connected, co-parenting, supportive, but not necessarily living the same daily life we imagined. Another key detail, The Big Bang Theory is told largely from Sheldon's perspective. And Sheldon has never been the most attentive narrator when it comes to other people's emotional lives. If Mandy wasn't central to Sheldon's world, he may not have mentioned her often, even if she was still part of Georgie's life in some capacity. We also can't ignore timeline realities. When The Big Bang Theory was created, Mandy didn't exist yet as a character. She was developed later in the prequel storyline. That means her absence isn't necessarily evidence of something tragic. It may simply reflect storytelling evolution. But within the universe itself, a career shift makes a lot of sense. Mandy never felt like someone content with being defined solely as a young mom. She adapted to it, yes. But she also valued independence. If she reached a point where she wanted to fully step back into her professional identity, that could have reshaped her daily life. And Georgie, who matured significantly over time, may have supported that. There's also the emotional angle. Sometimes, when couples grow up very quickly together, they eventually grow in slightly different directions. Not because they stop caring, but because their identities solidify in new ways. Mandy may have realized she needed more than the small-town life they started in. Georgie may have found his calling rooted in business and stability. Those paths don't have to clash dramatically. They can simply diverge. And that's a more realistic explanation than a scandal. It also fits thematically with what we know about Georgie's adult personality in The Big Bang Theory. He carries maturity, resilience, and emotional depth. Those qualities likely came from navigating complex adult relationships early on. Mandy's influence doesn't disappear just because she isn't on screen. In fact, her absence could represent success rather than failure. If she built her own career, her own independence, and her own identity beyond the early chaos, that's growth. And if Georgie respected that journey, that's growth too. So maybe the real reason Mandy is missing isn't heartbreak. Maybe it's evolution. Maybe she stepped into a bigger world, professionally and personally, and the show simply didn't spotlight it because it wasn't Sheldon's story to tell. And honestly, that possibility feels more powerful than any dramatic twist. What do you think? Did Mandy's career path take her away from the Cooper spotlight, or is there a deeper reason we haven't seen yet?